last 300 years, we have gradually intensified what might be termed our scientific program. With the rise of humanism in the 16th and 17th centuries in Europe, human attention focused almost directly upon the material advancement of society. There was good reason why this should have happened. For a long time, the average, even so-called cultured person, had given practically no consideration to the pressing problems of social change. There was no consistent recognition of the rights of man, his rights of decent living, his rights of education, religious freedom, his rights to improve his techniques and skills, broaden his knowledge and understanding. By degrees, however, this emphasis, well justified at the time, became excessive. Slowly the universe of values disappeared, and in its place came the universe of utilities. Progress came to be measured entirely in the physical advancements in the arts and sciences. It was inevitable that this unbalanced condition should ultimately lead to some kind of a crisis. Whenever we develop a lopsided and unbalanced and unreasonable perspective, we must pay for it. And in the 19th century, we made the dramatic shift from a religious cultural to an economic industrial basis. Then the era of invention became dominant, and one discovery after another increased our conveniences and also complicated our problems. So today we have the atomic bomb, which might be regarded as the inevitable end of an attitude. It might have been delayed a little longer, but man being what he is, with the pressures and intensities peculiar to his kind, living under a psychological situation such as now prevails, was moved by forces beyond his control, step by step, relentlessly, to the present state of affairs. The only way we can understand it is to recognize that it demonstrates the immutable processes of cause and effect. We have sowed the whirlwind. Now we must reap the whirlwind. Had we been more careful, more thoughtful, we would have had a better state of affairs. But being creatures of extremes, of intensities, of great pressures, we never have been able to advance any program with dignity and moderation. The spiritual situation therefore comes home to each and every one of us. Probably this is what nature has intended. Man has always learned the hard way, and he seldom accepts facts until they slap him in the face or bring to bear upon him some condition which halts him in consternation. The gradual decline of religious intensity has lowered our ethical levels, has weakened our internal resistance to stress, and has left us, much like Cardinal Wolsey, naked to our enemies. These enemies, in this case, being our own intellectual productions. But we must live with what we have. The knowledge is not going to be taken away. It may be possible that we might have a bad setback in the development of an atomic program. But we cannot again forget the strange, dangerous instrument we have devised. So now we must learn to live with it. We must also recognize that its danger lies not in itself, but in ourselves. The atomic bomb is comparatively harmless unless man, through his own psychic tensions, releases it upon himself and upon society. So the bomb is not the danger. The man is the danger. The individual who has not yet matured his own consciousness, has not yet reached a state of self-discipline, has been handed this terrible instrument. And we are hoping against hope that he will not use it. Religion has to meet this problem in two ways. First, it has to build as rapidly as possible within man the kind of spiritual integrity which will prevent him from the destructive use of atomic power. This means that from the standpoint of the religious life of mankind, there has to be an immediate and rapid shift from religion as a theory, as a policy, as a sectarianism, to religion as a dynamic experience within our own lives. To live at all, man must live by a better religious code. This is difficult, and perhaps this difficulty can be summarized in the fact I received in the mail 2 or 3 days ago quite an elaborate brochure which should have been and could have been written about 1850. It's 410 years behind its time. It is the type of thing that we might have expected a fervent missionary to write in a desperate effort to protect his own creed, not only from assault by other Christians, but particularly from the assault of non-Christian worshippers. In this time, the brochure is most untimely. It again attempts to emphasize the inevitable rights of one Christian sect, not only to differ from all other religions of the world, but to declare without hesitation that all these others are wrong. Not only wrong, but so very wrong that it becomes the duty of the true believer to remain completely intolerant of them, or become that way for the good of his own immortal soul. Now, this is very unfortunate, because if the world today has one defense against the chaos of materialism, it is the vast body of religious peoples everywhere in the world. Materialism is a two-pronged adversary. First, it is represented by materialistic political structures, and we think in terms of world communism. It is also represented by materialistic intellectual levels. And in this group, we have a great many educators, scientists, and persons in our own communities who have developed this intense materialism. Against these dangers, and they are real dangers, we have only the goodwill of people of strong faith. Now, it makes very little difference at the moment which one of the 5 great religions of the world these people belong to. Because they believe in God, because they believe in the brotherhood of man, because they believe in peace rather than war, because they believe that there is a spiritual destiny which man must face, spiritual laws which he must obey, a spiritual power at the source of life. Because they have these beliefs, they are our friends, and are very necessary friends at this time. Yet in a day when the survival of all faiths is hazarded, we have denominations picking at each other. Not only picking at each other in a rather nasty, nice way, but actually pointing out to the devout members of their own groups that it is a mortal sin to unite with these other people. Now, this is just about as dangerous to us as the bomb, because it is destroying the instrument with which we must attempt to hold the world together. The world is not only in danger of falling apart because of atomic fission, it is in danger of falling apart because there seems to be no real desire to keep it together. If our civilization goes, it will not go because of the bomb. It will go because man has cultivated and protected for hundreds of years attitudes which had in them the very substance of disintegration. So we are concerned now in thinking through how we're going to meet on a spiritual level the challenge of this tremendous scientific discovery. We know politically and socially that we must be one world or perish. We now also begin to suspect that we must be one religion or have none, and that the weakness in our own spiritual unity is almost certainly going to leave us the victim of the animosities and prejudices, ill feelings, and resentments of persons whom we have hurt spiritually as well as materially. So we have to think very much along these lines. We are faced by one enemy, essentially, the enemy of scientific skill. This adversary is highly organized, also has its dedications to progress, to the advancement of knowledge, is served by persons with a strange devotion to the ideas of science, and held in a kind of hypnotic trance by the fantasy of the scientific approach to life.